Attention, citizens, this is a public service announcement brought to you by Joe for the Cranky Old Gay Guy in support of our democratic republic. Voting is not just a right, it is a responsibility. It is your voice. It is your say in who governs. It is your say who sits in the Oval Office. Whether you are right or left, dirt poor or filthy rich, your vote is important.
Hey y'all, it's Joe for the Cranky Old Gay Guy. It is Monday, October 21st, 2024, and it is downpouring outside. Whoo, cats and dogs. You don't even have to lock them up because they are everywhere. I could make a bad political joke now, but I'm not going to because it puts a group of people in a bad light, so I'm not going to do that. Okay, today's show, we are going to talk about voting. Now, I am not going to tell you who to vote for. Moi? Never. However, I will probably point out the differences between the two candidates because they are plentiful. Okay, first off, let's talk a little bit about voting, shall we? It's your civic duty if you're a citizen of the United States. It's something you should want to do. It's something you should want others to do. Now, given these are all my feelings, you don't have to go along with them. It's your right as a citizen to make your voice known, and your voice is spoken by voting someone into office. There are two candidates currently up for this position of presidency. Each are very different. One is a former president of the United States with a track record that, depending on who you talk to, is minimal, to be the least, and incredible if you're a billionaire. Because the main thing that person did as president was give tax cuts to the super rich. Now, tax cuts came to the middle class and the poor as well, but not by any means as much. And the tax cuts for the middle class and poor, I think they all ran out after 5 years. However, the tax breaks that were for the billionaires and millionaires, those continue. In exchange for those tax breaks, the write-off that you get to do when you purchase a home and you have a home loan, you used to be able to write the interest off on that home loan as an expense. I believe that had a 5-year time limit too, and after that initial 5 years after that passed, that also expires, so you will no longer be able to write off the interest. And anyone who's purchased a home knows that the first 10 to 15 years of that purchase, when you make payments, the majority of those payments goes towards the interest and not the principal of that loan. So this is going to end up costing homeowners or people who are in the process of purchasing a home or have an ongoing purchase contract, it's going to cost them a lot of money. So I believe that the other candidate running stated that they would eliminate those huge tax cuts for the millionaire and billionaires and would also reverse the policy of the home loan write-off. So that's a plus in your favor right now. So unless you're a millionaire or a billionaire, that would, I think, would lean you towards that candidate. Now, there are others who will not vote for specific candidates based on gender. The previous president was male. The current candidate is female. And I have heard people are saying, not the internet, but people in person, that the United States isn't ready for a female president because she won't be respected around the world. That is such a bogus claim. If you look around the world, there are numerous leaders of supposed free democratic countries that are female. In fact, Mexico, I believe, just last week or a week before, elected their first female president. And Mexico, although it has problems like every country, it is considered a democratic country. and it's a trade partner of the United States. So are you saying that the president of Mexico wouldn't respect our president if our president was female? And when I say you, I don't mean you, the viewer. I mean people who state that they would not vote for a female president. Other differences. The person running for the current vice president who's running for president is female and has a track record not only in politics but also in criminal law, and was a prosecutor and knows about gangs and drugs and child pornography and I want to say other terrible crimes, but human trafficking, prostitution, all of these things. This person has actually in the courts prosecuted people for those things. The other candidate has not. And as far as I know, the other candidate hasn't really come down hard on any of those things. They say they are, but they haven't. And that candidate is seen in numerous pictures with a friend of his who was brought to trial and put in jail specifically for human trafficking and doing things to minors. That person would have been Epstein. And Ghislaine, who was Epstein's partner in crime, she is in prison right now. Epstein has passed under circumstances that's a totally different conspiracy video. But Ghislaine's in prison, and the current or the former president who's running again states that she's a great woman. She's fine. She's a fine woman. And he just does not comment on this entire case involving trafficking, child trafficking, and human, female trafficking. Why? I don't know what to tell you on that. I can't say that he's involved in a terrible way because I don't know the facts. I just know that this person is not speaking out, and that speaks volumes to me that there's something hiding, something to be found. The other person running, the female candidate, goes after those kind of people and puts them in prison and puts them out of business. And there again, that's someone that I would vote for. We're going to speak on the whole thing about right to life. Everyone has a right to life, sure. But this has to do with the abortion issue. One of the candidates says, leave it up to women and their doctors to make decisions that are crucial and can affect their lives. It might even, protect their lives, keep them from dying. And then you have the other candidate who is very proud about overturning Roe versus Wade and making abortion illegal in multiple states and super restricted in multiple states. When I say illegal in multiple states, technically it's not illegal, but it is in the fact that you can't get an abortion there because everyone's afraid they're going to go to prison if they assist a woman, even if she's dying, if they assist her, and it has to be an abortion. So effectively, those are abortion bans. As a male running for presidency, abortion doesn't affect him. Why? Because he can't get pregnant. Has he ever had to do anything with abortion? I don't know. He was a playboy, so perhaps not. Again, I can't speak on that. I can say that the fact that someone is anti-abortion means that they're anti-woman's health, which means that they're anti-woman. Now, I've heard all the arguments about, well, what about the baby? Well, first of all, it's not a baby when it's aborted. It is a fetus or an embryo. There is no way that cluster of cells will turn into a baby and live outside of the womb. So it's not technically a person. And if you go by biblical standards, it's not technically a person until it takes its first breath. So if you're on the religious side and you're using religion as a reason to be pro-life or anti-abortion. That's not what your Bible says. So there's that. There's also a lot of lies being spewed by, well, as far as lies go, I would say they're being spewed by the candidate who was the president before, his side. And he's running on anti-immigration because he comes across as a severe racist. He doesn't want people of color in this country, any color but white Europeans. He has singled out a particular brown-skinned minority in the Midwest and made up a story. And when I say he, I'm not saying he, it's his campaign, and he is repeating it over and over again. And that is that this certain group of people have been villainized and they are doing horrible things to animals. Now, this is the same kind of rhetoric that was used during World War II against the Jewish population, but it wasn't animals. They were supposedly eating children and drinking the blood of your children. Now, they said the same thing about Hillary Clinton when she was running, that she was drinking the blood of children, and that everyone on the left or the Democratic side and celebrities were involved in child sacrifice, where they would consume the adrenaline from a scared child. They would torture and make a child feel horrible, and then they would end its life and extract the adrenaline and drink it because it was supposed to make them immortals and live forever. Again, unproven theory, strictly conspiracy, only repeated as factual from the right, which at that time was the same guy who's running again. It was his party, and it was his group that was supporting him. You can hear some of those lies still today. This candidate also goes after anyone who is not a fundamentalist Christian. This candidate has stated that they will imprison anyone who's spoken out against him during the election or not supported him. He has threatened to close down CBS News and the CBS network and run them out of business because he refused to do an interview on that station, but his opponent did an interview. And because his opponent did an interview, he wants to shut them down. He has also stated that he would imprison several comedians, several late night talk show hosts, as well as a few daytime talk show hosts. And some of these talk show hosts are women. Why? Because they haven't supported him and they spoke out against him. To me, that sounds like a dictator. That's the kind of thing that Kim Jong-un of North Korea does. That's the kind of thing that Putin does. That's the kind of thing that Erdogan does in Turkey. You vilify the opposition, you imprison them or you terminate them, and then you're left with nothing but supporters. And those who might question you are fearful that they will be faced with retaliation if they speak out, so they go along with things. Now, that is what this specific candidate is pushing. That's what this specific candidate is going for. That's what this specific candidate has stated that he will do when he becomes president again. Now, his supporters and his campaign will say, oh, he would never do that. He's just bluffing. He's just talking. Baloney. He wants another Muslim ban. When he became president before, what did he put in place immediately? A ban on Muslims coming into this country. Why? Because they're not Christian? That's ridiculous. Religion has no part in the election. It should have no part in the election. I don't know what else I can say other than the fact that one of the candidates is upright, honest, and pretty transparent, and the other one hides a lot of things, has 44 felony convictions against them, is facing prison time if they do not become president, which I believe is the primary reason that they even ran again, is because if they're president, they can get rid of the investigation and shut down the entire Department of Justice attack on them. Now, they see it as an attack. I see it as the Department of Justice doing their job, because they would do it to any candidate. It doesn't matter which side of the political party you're on. When you break the law, you break the law. And when you break the law at that level, and you are going to be in the highest office in the land, you should be investigated. And if you did something wrong, you should go to prison. Now, part of that is state secrets. This candidate will once again be briefed and have his hands on state secrets. And when he left office previously, he took a lot of those state secrets with him, and some of them disappeared. And somehow Putin got a hold of these state secrets, and a lot of what we would call spies, our spies, died because of it. Now, do I know the names of those spies? No. Can I prove this? No. Where did I read it? Well, I did read it online on news websites. So, I mean, I think it did happen. But no, I'm going to be called on this. You're going to say, hey, how do you know that? You can't prove it? Because I watch TV. I watch the news. I read things online from news websites. I don't get everything from one site. I get some of it from Fox News, believe it or not, because occasionally I do watch it, and occasionally I do go to their website and read the news. Unfortunately, most of it leaves out everything that could be construed as negative against this candidate that was a former president. However, they don't hold back at all calling the opposition candidate, the female who's running, as shrill, has a cackle, because this candidate is happy and laughs. The other candidate has never laughed, I don't think, in his life. They also don't hold back on referring to her as comrade and a Marxist and a socialist, which all of these things she's not. However, all the tendencies and the actions of the other candidate come across as very fascist. This person is supported by the Proud Boys and the Nazi Party, and the KKK, and has no problem taking their support and saying, you know, there's a lot of good people in these groups. You shouldn't label all of them as bad. The former president is also anti-union. So if you're a union worker, you should be really concerned about that. He is also anti-worker. Oh, I'm going to bring jobs back to America. He said that before, and instead jobs left America and went to other countries because they don't have the rules that we have. They don't have safety rules. They don't have pollution rules. And the companies were just allowed to take off and do this. And, you know, he didn't have a problem with that at all. Please notice, I have not endorsed a single candidate, and I haven't mentioned names because it's not my place to do so. You know who's running. I will mention that I live in Oregon, and the former president is not in our voters guide, and it's not a conspiracy. The reason being is because to get your little picture and your paragraph or two explaining your candidacy in the voters guide, you have to pay $3,500. And that person's campaign refused to pay the money. Now, every other candidate in the pamphlet, and it's a thick book, paid the money. So if, and I've heard it on TV, a certain network, that it's unfair because they're not allowing this person in the pamphlet. Well, this person was allowed, but this person chose not to pay to get in the pamphlet like everyone else. Okay, that's all I really have to say right now. I know that the people who have attacked me for being supposedly anti-MAGA, and there's no supposed about it, I am anti-MAGA. I'm sure they'll attack me again. And, you know, that's just the way it is because I'm speaking how I feel. And I guess if you want to attack me, please do it in the comments section so everyone can see it and not just via email. Be brave. Be on there so people know who's actually saying these things. That's about all I have for now. If you'll notice, I have this beautiful flag behind me, and that is because I'm talking about voting and I couldn't find an American flag. So, rah-rah. That's the flag that I found. That's about it. All right, I'm going to talk to you all later. You have a great Monday and have a great week. And remember, I think it's about 15 days until Election Day. So make sure you're registered. Registration deadlines are closed in a lot of places already. And vote like your life depends on it, because the life of this nation and carrying on as a democratic republic does depend on who you vote for. One candidate is for the Constitution. The other candidate has said that he will and would like to eliminate the Constitution. Now, I know people are going to say he didn't say that. Search online. There are many videos, him at his campaign rallies and his little on-stage events, where he has said it not once, but multiple times. He also has stated that he will turn the U.S. military forces on his enemies, which he calls the threat from within the country, who he has stated that are more dangerous than Russia, China, or North Korea, or Iran. Yeah, people who don't support him are dangerous. Goodbye, everybody. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Either in person or via an earlier mail-in ballot. Make sure your voice is heard by those wanting to be this nation's leader. Keep in mind that our leader must have support from Congress. So remember to vote down ballot as well. Who runs this country affects countries around the world. Do it for the good of the country. Do it for the good of your family. Do it for the good of other families. Do it for the good of the world. Do it for yourself. Voting is not just a right. It is a responsibility. It is your voice. It is your say in who governs. It is your say who sits in the Oval Office. Whether you are right or left, dirt poor or filthy rich, your vote is important. Your vote counts. Your vote matters more than you think it does. This election day, make sure you show up either in person or via an earlier mail-in ballot. Make sure your voice is heard by those wanting to be this nation's leader. Keep in mind that our leader must have support from Congress. So remember to vote down ballot as well. Who runs this country affects countries around the world. Do it for the good of the country. Do it for the good of your family.